In this showcase, we're going to look at my latest upgrade custom, Rage. This is a custom project I've been wanting to do for a while, ever since getting Rage. And I always thought he was too small, because Rage is a big character in the comics. And going with the Hyperion mold, even though it is a bigger mold than the average bodies, like Bucky Cap and Sunfire and those, it's still not a big enough body for Rage. The original figure is using mostly Hyperion with bootlegs. The top of the boots are from the Captain Britain. We got the same boots they use for Crossbones, so those share parts. And you got the Thunderstruck jacket. I think that's the first one that had this jacket. But I always thought he's kind of odd looking to be odd choice for this combo for Rage, because like I said, he's a big character in the comics. And I never liked the original Hyperion torso. It is like squat looking. You got the weird pec shelf. The updated torso they have, which they had available when they made this, looks so much better. They've first on like the SDC set with the Unworthy Thor, and they use it for Young Thor and a few other figures. That torso is so much better. They went with the Hyperion mold, which is absolutely terrible, which needs to be sent to the bottom of the ocean and be a boat anchor. So I did some work and merged it with a Warpath. The upper body is all Warpath. I drilled a hole in the bottom of both figures. You can put it in the waist piece. I use snap ring pliers, and you can go in through and just, when you squeeze them, they open, and then it'll pop a waist pretty easily most of the time. Waist pieces were compatible, just they had there's a little gap in between the waist piece and the Warpath torso. So I used some styrene and made a filler piece to go in between, so it filled in that gap. And love the proportions, how this worked out. It's like the big upper body, muscular. Its legs could look a little small, but they're still actually very muscular legs. Just not a fan of the Warpath Omega Red giant thighs, especially if you want to try to use these boot legs. I did like a swap and put those boots on there, and it just looked absolutely ridiculous with these little bitty boots on these giant thighs. Didn't work. Before painting, the first thing I did was clearance the torso. I took a hobby knife and clearanced around like the ab crunches and like down at the bottom, around the sockets up here and on the back, so when you move the articulation after you paint it, it won't cut into the paint. The only places I use primer is on the actual torso itself. I use the Mr. Hobby, Mr. Surfacer 1000. Great primer, it's real thin. Don't build up too heavy on your parts. And for the skin tones, I used Pro Creole Advanced Flesh Tone, which worked out great. It matched the skin tone on his face perfectly. And that was these are great paints, really good coverage. I've been using these recently, really like these. To fill into the holes, I drilled in the bottom. I use a little bit of green stuff, just fill it in, paint it back over top of that after it's smoothed out, and filled that spot. I was originally going to use the Rage hands, which are these, and they just ended up being too small. I was thinking they were too small, and I posted some like the original pictures of it, and people were like the hands looked a little too small, so I agreed. So I painted up a set of a Warpath hands, closed fist, and much better proportioned. All the wrist bands, the belt, the vest, of course the head and everything, lower bodies, all that's from the original Rage figure. For the chest hair, I actually used water slide decals. I made these in Photoshop. I originally made them for one of my Prime customs. I got a few of these printed out, sheets for the arm hair on Prime. And I just print these out, and on the water slide paper, this is transparent water slide paper. And when you print these out, you do need to seal these. I use Mr. Hobby, Mr. Super Clear Matte. I do light coats until I can actually know whether they're fully sealed, because if you don't seal them, once you drop them in water, the ink will dissolve. So you definitely got to seal those. And to make them contour around the curved surfaces, you need this. This is microsol. They also make a micro set. This softens up the decals to conform to irregular surfaces, as it says right on the front of the bottle. Very much a must if you're going to work with water slides on action figures. You need this. And after I got the torso and the arms painted up, it's time to seal the figure. I use an automotive sealer. Duplicolor protective clear coat finish. Very hard paint. It seals the figure really well. And after that but it's super glossy, so after it dries, I hit it with this. And that's the finish we have right here. Nice, smooth, clean finish. And comes out, always works out really well. That's how I've ended up finishing all my figures with the 2-stage, do the automotive sealer, which is a hard finish protective coat. Then I go back in with the matte finish to dull it down. Unless I need it to stay glossy, I'll just leave it glossy. But overall, I love how this thing turned out. Big, bulky, much better proportion Rage to me. It's you see character named Rage. He looks more mad that he's on this horrible body. This head is too big for this body. And it's all around proportions. It looks weird. Short torso. Look, the legs are fine. So if I put on this bigger torso, the legs look great. They don't look too small. He's got a nice big muscular build. He got a much better Rage. So you can rage out for my new Warrior shelf. But anyway, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.